Good evening, sir.
We are waiting for others to join. We'll wait possibly for 2-3 minutes, then we can start, right?
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Are we
Good
ready?
evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
I hope all of you had a nice and colorful Holi today, right?
Yes,
Yesterday,
sir.
sir. Yes, we had
Yes,
it.
Okay,
yesterday, sir.
some part of the country it was yesterday, and for us in Odisha it was today.
So Kolkata and Orissa both celebrate Holi a day later, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay, so today our module is The Stone Angel by Margaret Lawrence, right?
So this is our last class of MEG-8.
Yeah, this is the last one for MEG-8, and we'll conclude our MEG-8 today. So should I
So,
start my presentation? Yes, yes, please.
sir, the poetry section, I wanted a doubt class regarding that because there are certain topics which are still I'm not able to understand.
Okay, we'll get into that. I mean, if at all we have time, but I suspect that we have time. But in any case, you can talk to me personally. Either you can call me or you can text me, and if possible, I'll try to address your concerns and queries.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I'm switching off my video feed and I'm going to my presentation. Is that okay, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. It is
Yes,
visible.
sir.
Yes. Before actually I get into the Stone Angel, I would like to take you through the Canadian English literature a bit, so that you are in a position to situate the novel in question, that is the Stone Angel, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So have you ever encountered any Canadian literary text before this class?
No, sir. From my side, I didn't.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Me too.
I did a bit of English patient and all, a bit, sir, because I have
Okay.
MEG 12
Okay.
too. That's why I was
Okay.
asking. Yeah.
Okay. No issue. Like any other new literary field or new literature in English, Canadian writing began as an imitative colonial literature, but it has steadily developed its own national characteristics, right? Let
Yes,
me
sir.
take you to the historical background of Canadian English literature before I delve into uh, Margaret Lawrence. Then we'll get to the Stone Angel, right?
Yes, sir.
Because of the huge immigrations, first of New England Puritans from 1760 on, and later of American loyalists during the Revolution, Canadian literature followed US models almost until the Confederation in 1867. What I mean to say by this is Canadian English literature does follow the footsteps of US literary tradition. I mean, although because Canada and US they share their borders and they have, I mean, each country, both the countries do have uh, influences over the other literature or literary canon. Before 1800, the rigors of pioneering left a little time for the writing for the appreciation of literature, but the only notable works were like journals such as that of Jacob Bailey and the recorded of explorers such as Henry Kelsey, Samuel Hearne, and Sir Alexander Mackenzie. These were the primary writers around 1800. Okay, uh, the first Canadian novelist of any repute was John Richardson, whose Wacosta, published in 1832, popularized the genre of national historical novel. Then in 1836, you have Clockmaker of T.C. Halliburton, and it was kind of humorous series of works. Then historical novelist writing started in 1900, including William Kirby, author of The Golden Dog, published in 1877. Then Sir Gilbert Parker, author of The Seeds of the Mighty, 1896. Then the novels of Sarah Janet Duncan, such as A Social Departure, in 1890, were of noted, kind of caliber because of their satire and humor. Then Reverend C.W. Gordon produced Black Rock in 1898, a series of novels on pioneer life of in W, Canada. Then animal stories became popular in the works of Ernest Thompson. Uh, After 1900, you have Canadian novels have tended towards stricter realism, but have remained predominantly regional, and many writers have been women. Among most of the prominent authors, people like Lucy M. Montgomery, author of Anne Green Gables, published 1908. Then Majo de la Roche, well known for her stories on the White Oaks family of Jalna. Then Frederick P. Groove, author of Settlers of the Mars, published in 1925. Mind you that 1926 is the year when Margaret Lawrence was born, right? Then you have Margaret Atwood. I believe she is very famous. Probably the best known modern Canadian novelist, and Alice Munro, the most famous writer of short stories. I believe you have heard the name Alice Munro, right?
Yes, sir.
Other important fiction writers during and since the World War II includes Morley Callaghan. Then you have G. Graham. Then John Bell, Hugh MacLean. Then Richler. Then Malcolm Lowry. Then Ethel Wilson. Then Robertson Davis, Brian Moore, Margaret Lawrence, Alistair MacLeod, Mavis Callant, Timothy Findlay, and M.G. Vasanji. Many of their novels and stories have focused attention on Canadian city life and social problems and cultural divisions. Then I don't want to get into the essays and poetry of Canadian literature because we don't have time for that. I just wanted to give you few other names uh, apart from Margaret Lawrence, right? Let's get into let's get to Margaret Lawrence. Born on 1926 and she died in 1987. And the novel in question, which we are supposed to discuss today, is The Stone Angel, published in 1964. Margaret Lawrence is a Canadian novelist, and she is the founder of the Writers' Trust of Canada. And the novel in question, The Stone Angel, is a historical fiction. While the story focuses on the main characters and their lives, major historical events such as the 1929 stock market crash and subsequent Great Depression play a crucial role in their lives. We are not going to get into that, but for information, I should tell you this. Setting set in fictitious town of Manawaka, Manitoba, right? Again, another fictitious town. I hope you remember how many fictitious towns we have discussed in last month or last 15 days. Any guess? Any wild guesses?
So can you please repeat the question once more?
I believe we have discussed a few fictitious towns related to few authors in reference to our MEG-8 in last month or last 15 days.
Yes, sir. Patrick White's fiction. In that novel also there was one
Okay, and
fictitious town.
yeah,
So V.S. Naipaul, House for Mr. Biswas.
uh, mm, I believe Patrick White was more apt example, but in Indian context, I believe Arkenaran Malgudi Dej. Okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
told you as a reference that most some writers they do love to create a fictitious town of their own in their setting in their writings. Okay, so likewise, Margaret Lawrence has actually created this fictitious town in her writings. Okay, Manawaka. Okay, narrator is first person narration by Hagar Siple. Hagar Siple is the central character. Okay, I'll tell you more about her, and she is the protagonist. In a series of vignettes, the stone angel follows the life of Hagar Siple, and memories she reflects on as she nears the end of her life. She was almost 90 when she was kind of giving you this narrative in a flashback mode. Okay, the story alternates between the present day, the early 1960s, and her past memories starting from her birth in 1886. I hope you remember that in our last class we discussed a bit about mm, the flashback and the present and shifting narrative from present to past. What was that?
So
Is
while
it?
the both brothers,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Waldo and Arthur, right?
yes,
Yes,
sir.
In the
sir.
novel, in which novel?
The solid mandala.
Yeah, Solid
The
Mandala.
solid mandalas.
Always remember when you are following any literary work or body of work, you have to actually uh, connect the dots or correlate with the other text and other writers, either from that kind of time frame or any way possible, because when you are preparing your answers, when you are writing your papers, you have to mention or you have to compare and contrast and give some references to the evaluator, that I have studied this and I have studied that as well, and I can make out the connection between these two works, right? I have repeated this umpteen times, right?
Yes, sir.
Then Hagar Siple, uh, or Sipli, I mean, it's up to you how you pronounce that, is a 90-year-old woman. She is heavy, stubborn, and pompous. Her older son or elder son, you can call him, Marvin, is 60 years old, and her daughter in law, Doris, have come to live with her to take care of her. Although she resents their company, I mean, she doesn't like it. She finds out soon that they are planning to shift her to a nursing home nearby, and she thinks this is a sign of her impending death. Therefore, she runs away from home. Imagine a situation: a old lady of 90 years old, and she is running away from home because she wants to avoid, this fate of being, transferred to a nursing home by her son and daughter-in-law. Okay, can you imagine the scene?
It's horrible, sir.
Okay, I mean, it's not horrible. I can't say that it's horrible, but I mean, uh, you
It's
have to put
pitiable.
yourself. Yes, yes,
It's,
please
it's
continue.
pity. It's pitiable, and also it's a pathetic situation for the lady to cope up. I
She,
mean,
Yes, but again,
she's vulnerable. Yeah,
if you
vulnerable.
juxtapose that to her idea of running away from home and trying to live life in her own terms at the age of 90, look how stubborn she is and how strong she is mentally to fight it out. Fine.
she might be thinking that her children are abandoning her, and before they do that, she want to live life on her own. That's why she ran away.
Okay, but what happens next? In the dark of the night, she walks deep into the coastal forests. Alongside, she reflects over her past, her dominating father, her weak mother, and her favorite last son, not last son, dead son, John. Okay? And likewise, when we discussed the last novel in our MEG-8 Block 7, Stream of Consciousness also is here in this Stone Angel. We'll talk about that later, right? Hagar spends the night in an empty cannery. She becomes afraid when she hears footsteps approaching towards her. And finally, she came to know that, there is a man, another wanderer like her, named Murray F. Lees. Murray sits with Hagar for a while and shares his wine with her. And what happens next? The two share the story of their painful lives, particularly the loss of their sons. Then what happens? This lady, gets an audience in front of whom she can share her story. A lifetime of buried emotions erupt, and Hagar finally cries. Okay. The next day, her son Marvin comes with the police to the cannery, finds his mother in ill health, and takes her not to silver threads, but to a hospital for her treatment. At this point, the narrative shifts to a flashback. You have to make sure that you know the narrative shifts and the narrative breaks. Fine, only then you will be able to correlate and connect. So in the flashback, what happens and what Hagar Sipley is telling us? Hagar is the daughter of Jason Curie, a successful businessman in Manawaka who owns a general store. She has two older brothers, Matt and Dan. Dan is a weak child, while Matt is physically strong. Their father, Jason, is a Scottish immigrant in Canada who demands complete control over his children's lives and behavior. I hope many of you might, maybe parents already, and you know the challenges of being a parent, and you know the kind of parental ego we nurture from in our day-to-day lives. Am I correct?
Kind
Yes,
of,
sir.
sir. Yes.
We always complained in our whole of our lifetime, or whatever life we have already, kind of spent against our parents, that they are too demanding, they are just controlling, they are control freaks, something like that, and they want to control everything in our lives, even in of our behavior pattern and everything. But now we are doing the same, and we don't realize that. Even only when somebody else tells us that you are doing this and you shouldn't be doing this, then only we we realize that, maybe. Are you getting my point?
Sir, our ego doesn't let us realize, but eventually we do realize it.
Yeah, parental ego is not so dangerous like normal ego, but if it can be dangerous at times if you do not let your child or your kids kind of go in their normal natural childish flamboyance. Okay, we are always trying to follow a particular model which has been approved by the society and which has been time tested. Okay, but there lies the problem. Okay, we'll get back to that. Not surprisingly, Hagar wants to defy her father's authority. I mean, even in her childhood days, this Hagar Sipley was very defiant against her father's authority. But Jason is intelligent and hardworking and spoils Hagar with new dresses and choosing her over two brothers for studying in a business school. Even though father is authoritative, he was very strong, but he actually loved his daughter more than the sons. So even he was a party to this character building of Hagar Sipley, who she is right now since her childhood days. Matt dislikes Hagar as she received an education while he was not allowed to. When Jason tells Hagar to join the family business, she disagrees out of the fear that her father wants to control her further. But as it is destined, Hagar takes after her father. She has an inability to nurture others. For example, When Dan gets injured from falling through ice, she refuses to care for him, and soon he dies of pneumonia. Hagar's failure to comfort her brother during his illness days marks indecision in her life, and this will affect the choices she makes as she grows up. Matt suffers from influenza in his 20s and dies. He died with a resentful feeling against Hagar. Hagar ultimately refuses to join her father's business and becomes a teacher. Also, as an act of rebellion, she marries a man down her class named Bram Sipley, okay, or Brampton Sipley. Her closest friend Lottie, also called No Name, okay, within quotes, wants her not to marry Bram, but Hagar has made up her mind. Her father, Jason, cannot accept her marriage below their status, so he abandons her and doesn't grieve over her loss even once. So there lies the theme of pride. We'll get back to that. Moreover, Hagar receives no inheritance from her father. Father was angry, father was arrogant, father was authoritative. How could he let her daughter to take away all the kind of money and go with somebody else whom he disapproves? Jason donates all his money to the town of Manawaka. Okay, look at the father and daughter relationship. Are my slides visible to you, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it better right now?
Sir,
No,
I
sir.
excuse me,
Prior to that, it is more zoomed in, sir.
okay. Is it
sir.
okay right now, or should I go back to the earlier form?
Earlier form, sir.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, no
Uh,
problem.
Sir, excuse me, sir. I want to ask you one question. That
Yes.
why Hagar didn't take care of his brother?
We don't know for sure. Maybe, I mean, that's the way she was. Okay. I mean, not
Okay.
all of us are very caring in our lives, right? Not all of us have
Yes, sir.
sympathy and empathy for others, right? Not all of us are, kind of like, within quotes, good people. Okay. So it might so happen that, sometimes out of the blue, without even our intention, we don't subscribe to a particular school of thought, or we behave in a certain way. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So we
Yes,
don't
sir.
know
I am
why
getting
Naga
your
did like
point.
that, but see, from her childhood days, she was like, she was very arrogant. She was very, kind of
He was
different
like a
from
rebellious.
brothers. Yes.
He was also opposing everything which his father actually told him to do. So we can say that Hagar was rebellious.
Yes, of course. I mentioned that in one of the slides, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back to that. Okay. Please hold your questions. We will get back to that
Yes, sir.
when
Yes,
the
sir.
time is right. Right.
Yes, sir.
Then you have marital life of Hagar and Bram Sipley. Bram is a farmer and 14 years older than Hagar. Imagine the connection and the bond. He already has two children from a previous marriage, and he is rough, he is domineering, and famous as a womanizer throughout Manawaka. That is why this Hagar's friend told her that not to marry this guy. Okay, but she went ahead because she was very headstrong. She thought, no, I have decided means I'll go ahead with this, no matter what people think. Okay, when Hagar marries Bram, she feels free for the first time in her life, free from the shackles of her father and society. But eventually, her marriage gets doomed. She fails to transform Bram into a considerate husband. He becomes an addictive alcoholic and extremely lazy to provide for his family. As years pass by, Hagar becomes more like Bram, controlling, abusive, contemptuous of the social order. Okay, look, make the connection between the father and Hagar and Bram. Three of them almost from same school of thought. Are you getting my point? Her father was controlling.
So
Her father was abusive. Her father was contemptuous of the social order, and Bram was like this, and Hagar also becomes like that. Yes,
yes, sir, understood. My question was that whom three person were talking about. Yes, sir,
yes.
I understood.
I mean Hagar's father, then the husband, then Hagar herself. Ultimately, the couple separates, and Hagar leaves Manawaka with their younger son John. Okay, the elder son Marvin stays back with his father Bram. Then, how Hagar and John went ahead with their lives. Hagar is very fond of her son. John, John is kind and sympathetic towards her mother. But as she grows, she begins to catch all the infections of her father. She becomes extremely controlling of John. When Hagar returns to Manawaka to take care of an ailing Bram, John begins an affair with rich Arlene. Okay, that is a new character. Arlene is the daughter of Hagar's childhood friend Lottie. Make the connection. The friend Lottie who said no to Hagar to marry Bram. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lottie married into a wealthy family while Hagar didn't. Against Hagar's and Lottie's wishes, John and Arlene marry. Make the connections. Arlene feels that the class distinctions that once separated them have been erased due to the Great Economic Depression. I made a mention of that Great Economic Depression in Canada. Okay, during
Yes,
my
sir.
introductory, kind of comments. Okay, Hagar breaks off all her ties with John, and after this, John and Arlene die in a tragic accident. Do you follow?
Sir, you mean to say that Lottie was getting married to a rich family and Hagar was
No,
getting married
that is
to.
just a mention of contrasting, kind of direction in which Lottie and Hagar went. Okay,
Yes, sir.
but
But
Lottie has no more role to play here right now in this context. What I'm
okay,
telling you, right?
okay,
That
sir.
was just a reference for their separated lives and their different directions they went by. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
Hagar breaks off all her ties with John, but after some time, John and Arlene die in a tragic accident. Remember, two brothers of Hagar are already dead, right? Now, one
Yes, sir.
son and her daughter-in-law also dead. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Hagar has become so stony and disconnected that she cannot shed even one tear for her son's loss. At this time, she is referred to the stone angel. Okay, so I will get back to the reference for the title stone angel. Okay, but for your reference, you just remember that it is one of the references to the title stone angel. Okay, Hagar has become so stony and disconnected to the present life that she cannot shed even one tear for her son's loss. At this time, she is referred to the stone angel. Then the flashback is over. We are back to present time in the hospital when Hagar is being treated after that adventurous night out in the jungle. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now in present time, Hagar shares her semi-private ward with a young girl named Sandra. Hagar is a tough patient to handle. She needs no care from the nurses and no friendship from her fellow patients. But as her condition deteriorates, Hagar struggles to open her up to the kindness of those around her. I mean, you can correlate with your grandmother, grandparents. Okay, usually they are very stubborn. Usually they are very, kind of, they are not ready to open themselves to the world. But when they are about to die or they are in the twilight of their lives, when they are in hospital, they also want to open up, but they can't open up because they have not been doing the same for last so many years, so many decades. So that is what happened to Hagar. Could you connect what I'm trying to tell you to follow?
You're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about being stubborn in behavior, right, sir?
Yes, being stubborn in behavior throughout your life. But towards the end, when you find no, it's already too much. I shouldn't be like this. I should change my life. I should change my behavior pattern and everything. But just because you have a strong habit for last so many decades or years together, it's not that simple to change yourself overnight, right? So that is what
Yes.
is happening to Hagar when she was in the hospital. Fine.
Yes, sir.
But towards the end, she tries. So, how she did that? She apologizes to Marvin and Doris for her behavior. I mean, Marvin and Doris, who are they?
The nurses were taking care of her.
No, no, no. Come on, you are
The
not.
son
The
and the
elder son
daughter-in-law.
and the daughter-in-law.
The
The
son and the
daughter-in-law
daughter.
and son.
Yes, yes,
Elder son.
Extremely sorry, sir.
yes, yes. So she tells Marvin she loves him and that he was always a better son to her than John. Remember, John is dead, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Sir, is there any
Yes, sir.
mention
Yes.
how John died and why she refers as Stone Angel after her death?
I'll come back to that. But John died in an accident with her, her daughter-in-law, right? I told you that.
No.
I
No,
did.
sir.
Okay. Agar breaks off all her ties with John, and after this, John and Arlene die in a tragic accident. Look at the slides. I told you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, slip of mind, sir.
No issue. No issue. I mean, sometimes we struggle to connect these things pretty easily because, you know, mm, when there are so many characters, so many novels, so many authors, so many background and socio-political history we have to remember, it happens. So she tells Marvin that she loves him and he was always a better son to her than John. In this way, she makes peace with her son. Eventually, she and Sandra develop a bond. Who is Sandra?
The young girl in her ward actually.
Yes, yes, in the hospital, okay, in the hospital ward. As Sandra comforts her during her final days. However, when a nurse helps Hagar drink from a glass of water, Hagar proves as stubborn as ever by insisting that no, 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 let me hold it. I will drink myself. I don't need anybody's help. Okay, so that was Hagar for you. Hagar's complicated life is filled with love, lost, and loss. A stubborn resistance finally breaks at the end of the novel when she shows kindness to her son Marvin. One of the literary magazine called January Magazine, remarked this about Stone Angel that this is Lawrence's look at an unlovely life built on uncompromising convictions. And being Lawrence, we are given vivid portraits in time, character, and place that have made the Stone Angel an unforgettable novel.
So this January magazine is some kind of magazine published in Canada?
A literary magazine, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I want to ask you one thing that here in January magazine, it is showing that Lawrence is seeing towards the unlovingly life, how it is portrayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought that this is connected with Lawrence life. Sorry.
No, okay, okay. It's about Margaret Lawrence's, body of work. That comment.
I got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is not a semi-autobiographical novel, right? It is just her imaginations, Lawrence imagination, right?
We can't say that for sure, but according to many critics, that it is kind of somehow autobiographical work of Lawrence. I mean, not exactly in totality, but parts of it, because you know this Manawaka, this fictional town, Actually, Lawrence has written 5 novels. It is called Manavaka series. Okay, and the Stone Angel is one of them, and all of them are somehow connected to Lawrence's life. And Lawrence actually was born in a town called Nipawa. Okay, the fictional town of Manawaka, in which much of the story takes place, is based on the Nipawa of Lawrence's childhood and youth. Okay, Nipawa is actually a real place in Canada, right? And the Stone Angel was one of the first of the 5 books by Lawrence that have become known as our Manawaka series, which together create a realistic picture of the small Canadian town in the prairies from the late 19th century to the 1960s. Okay, so it somehow it is connected to her life. And if you go by the kind of critics a version of appreciation of Margaret Lawrence's life and her works, uh, they will make us believe, or they would like us to believe, that every writer, whenever he or she writes anything about any fictional work, there is some connection to the life. Okay, whether you accept it or not. But since this Nipawa was a real place and Manawaka is just a changed name for that Nipawa in her novels, so it is believed widely that it has some autobiographical elements. To this particular of Margaret Lawrence. If you read Margaret Lawrence's biography in detail, I hope you will be in a better position to understand that what are the connections this Manawaka series has in reality to her real life story. Do you follow?
Sir, apart from this Manavaka series, she has also written her own autobiography, like biography in her own words. Like, have
Yes,
she done that?
I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. Okay, just
Okay, sir.
hold your horses. I'll come back to that. Should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Should I go through the themes of the novel? Then we'll get back to other aspects. All right.
Yes, sir.
So, can you zoom out this a little bit, this slide?
Is this okay right now?
Vision, the resonant is not the whole slide is not visible, sir.
Okay. I believe this.
And now it is visible.
Okay.
No, the
Okay. Whatever is visible to me on my screen, it should be exactly visible to you. It shouldn't be different to me and to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yes,
yes,
sir,
sir,
please.
please.
This Manavaka series consists of 5 books. Those are the Stone Angel 1, A Jest of God 2, The Fire Dwellers 3, A Bird in the House 4, The Diviners 5. And mind you that you have to remember this and you have to write that in your papers while you answer long questions on the Stone Angel.
Sir,
Done.
can you please repeat the book names again?
One is the Stone Angel, right?
Yes,
Second
sir.
one is A Jest of God. I'll send you this information, okay?
Yes, sir.
The Fire Dwellers, A Bird in the House, and The Diviners.
Sir, are these all part of the Manavaka series?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Okay?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Should I continue?
Yes, sir,
Let's
Yes.
please.
okay. Before actually, let's take a pause here. Before actually, we should before moving into the themes, I want you to go back to your IGNO material. You have that PDF files with you?
I have my book with myself, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, me too.
Okay. Oh, I don't know you have this or not, because I collected this from another source from IGNO, from another paper, I think. Okay, no problem. Just hold on a bit. Go to unit 1. Okay,
Yes, sir.
unit 1. Then you go to 1.6, main thematic concerns.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 1.6.1, novel of middle class aspirations. Okay,
Yes, sir.
despite Lawrence's left wing sympathies, despite her growing desire to address issues of dispossession and social injustice, The Stone Angel is very much a novel of middle class aspirations, action, and folly. Proud descendant of a family that could claim connections or lapsed Scottish baronetcy and self-made success in pioneering Canada, Hagar Shipley has little time for the larger questions of social order and justice. Though she oscillates like a pendulum between her personal impulses, so strong is her ethic of self-reliance that she fails to see clearly the plight of the farmers. She knows during the depression of the 1930s, I mean the Great Depression of 1930s, or the sense of loss and desperation of the local Métis of Manawaka. Indeed, the novel very carefully suggests that Hagar's blindness to the larger issues of social justice is typical of many people of her generation. As close as she was to the actual effects of the depression or farmers, to the Métis, friends favored by her husband Bram and her son John, she steeled herself against any potential awareness of her empathy with such experiences. Her respectability threatened by them, she needs to hold herself aloof from or superior to the bunch of Brits or never do wells and Gallicans she is obliged to feed during her harvest time. Sorry, during harvest time. Pride both blinds and sustains her when her social identity is questioned. Okay, so it is about middle class aspiration, it is about pride. Let's discuss them one after another. Okay, let's focus on pride for the time being. The most prevailing theme of the Stone Angel is that of pride. Whose pride? Ladies and gentlemen, whose pride we are discussing?
Hagar?
Yes, of course, Agar City. Okay. As John Moss is another critic, states what gives Margaret Lawrence's vision the resonant dimensions of universal truth is the interlacing of the destructive and constructive effects of Hagar's pride, and pride is a double edged sword. Indeed, Hagar's great pride helps her to cope with the many difficulties she faces throughout her life. Imagine a situation, how can a 90-year-old, in the middle of the night, abandons her house and just uh, goes ahead with an adventurous journey that, I have to get out of this, otherwise they will force me to stay in a nursing home. I don't want that. Okay, so behind that pride, a sense of confidence is also there. Okay, this pride, however, also separates and detaches her from others, resulting in several strained relationships, like which she was unable to mend. Agar's pride repeatedly imprisoned her within the confines of her thwarted affections and misdirected emotion. So, who were the persons or who were the people, with Hagar didn't enjoy a good emotional bond? Can you give me one or two examples?
Sir, her father and her husband.
Yes,
Yes,
father and her husband,
mother and
definitely.
husband.
I mean, father was authoritative by nature, and you know, uh, Hagar was proportionately authoritative as well. And when she got married to Brahm, Brahm was authoritative by nature. So there is a kind of class. Okay, so all of them didn't enjoy good relationship with each other. More specifically, her pride caused such things as an unhappy marriage with Brampton Sipley and severance of all ties with her father Jason and her brother Matt. Okay, another one I missed out, that brother. Her pride served her best in her dying days. You can say what are the positives because of this pride or arrogance or this false sense of confidence, or even in positive note, her pride served her best in her dying days when she was determined not to submit to frailty and raised against the fading light with same stubbornness that she had always displayed. So even at the age of 90, she was ready for the fight. She was up for the fight. Okay, because she thought, I'm Hagar Sipley and I'm made of something else. Okay, I'm not a normal lady who will just succumb to this kind of pressure, this kind of force.
Sir, what is the meaning of frailty?
Frailty means when frailty has multiple meanings in English. One in this context is when she is weak, when she is about to die,
Sir,
when
fragile. You
okay.
mean to say fragility?
I mean, it's like being weak, being kind of not strong, something like that. Okay, it's
Yes,
reference to old age. Okay, it's reference to your twilight of your life, or it reference to your fading health. Okay, in that case, frailty is being mentioned here. Is that
okay,
okay?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Then second or another prominent theme, time. The stone angel In the Stone Angel, time is the most important factor in determining the structure of the novel, because we have flashbacks, then we have present day scenario, then this narrative is shifting from past to present, present to past. Okay, like in the Solid Mandala, we were actually struggling to correlate between Arthur and Waldo and their version of stories and this flashback business. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The assertion of temporal dominance occurs a number of times in the novel. Hagar, leaving Brahm and at the same time leaving her hometown, comments on her departure. Then we were away from Manawaka. It came as a shock to me how small the town was and how short a time it took to leave it. As we measure time, it is through her sense of time that Hagar measures the space of Manawaka. And then, coming to Vancouver, she voices a sentiment. You begin again, and nothing will go wrong this time. For it is time, not place, that manifests itself in change, arising from a change of mind or heart rather than a change of place, and time is mind's dimension. The novel consists of alternating passages from past and present, which I have told you multiple times, both of which exist within Hagar's mind. She is either remembering or perceiving the world around her with an old woman's suspicious eyes, which give her observations their spatial twist and color. It opens with Hagar's recalling the stone angel in a rich and racy inner prose, the prose of thoughts readers are expected to believe and are addressed to them. And then Hagar describes the symmetry and suddenly switches to the present. From this beginning until about the last quarter of the book, the stone angel maintains parallel chronological patterns the present following sequentially the last days of Hagar's life, and the flashbacks following also sequentially the course of her life as it appears in her memories. So one distinction you can draw here is, regarding time and space, this narrative, it is all about Hagar's point of view, and whatever she is letting us know, we are in a position to know. Otherwise, we don't know what happened with her life and what exactly happened in her past. So, in her process of taking us from present to past and past to present again, we also slowly begin to realize that what Hagar's point of view towards time, and how much time means to her in terms of her long memory. In terms of action, this is a book of narrow compass, the narrative of an old woman's thoughts and memories on the eve of death, with a single quixotic escapade to break the pattern. Death circumscribes the whole pattern, for the novel begins with memories of a cemetery and ends with Hagar's last expectant thought. And then, okay, this is the way Margaret Lawrence is actually, kind of portraying the character of Hagar Sipley. I'll talk more about her in a detailed manner after this slide. Okay. Yes. Next theme in question is survival. uh, Somebody's audio is on. Would you be kind enough to mute it? Yeah. In 10-year sentences, Margaret Lawrence has stated, with the stone angel, without my recognizing it at the time, the theme had changed to that of survival. The attempt of personality to survive with some dignity, toting the loads of excess mental baggage that everyone carries until the moment of death. So, in another work, Margaret Lawrence herself has stated this about the theme of survival as far as this stone angel is concerned. 3 years after Lawrence wrote this essay, Margaret Atwood's Survival appeared in 1972. Though Atwood has made only 3 brief references to the stone angel in her book, Lawrence considers her novel a story of liberation and frustrated attempts at liberation in a generational context. Hagar's long life is an often failing effort to find and be herself, and in that sense, to achieve liberation. Long life, 90 years. We are
Yes,
jumping to the next theme, that is freedom. Freedom is linked to survival and also linked to the theme of hostility between settlers and hunters that has dominated the entire history of North America. The contrast between Bram Sipley and Jason Curie, which appealed to Hagar, is that between the rigidities of the invading mercantilism represented by her father and a strict regime or strict regime of self-made man, and the vanishing liberties of the frontier represented by Bram. It's slightly bouncy. Okay, avoid if you don't want to get into that. Okay. In Bram, she sees all these qualities which are different from her father, and it is those very qualities which she begins to detest when she goes to live with him. Again, the pride factor comes in the way of liberty and freedom. It is this pride which leads to her isolation and eventual destruction of all her personal relationships. Okay,
excuse me, sir.
am I,
Sir, sir, could you please go back
ladies
to
and
the
gentlemen?
previous slide?
Yes, this one.
Yes, sir. Sir, here it is written that she began to detest when she goes to live with him. What is the meaning of exactly of this line?
Detest. I mean, she
Yes,
doesn't like it. She doesn't enjoy it.
but because of that she found that the qualities are different from her father. That's why she choose him to marry, na? But why is he again feeling that no, this person is not good enough for me?
No, 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 no. I didn't get your point. Could you please repeat?
Sir, actually, here it is written that in Brahm, she sees all these qualities which are different from her father. That's why Hagar choose Brahm as her husband, right?
Mhm.
But here again, it is written that when she goes to live with him, she begin to detest. Why?
Okay, okay, okay. Let me tell you that, like life, every relationship is an evolving process. Okay, uh, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
I hope all of you are through your college days, right? Am I correct? You are already doing some jobs, and many of you are married, and many of you have kids, right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Okay, so you go back to your college days. Okay, I'll tell you, kind of a small, not story exactly, a reference which you can always connect. When we choose somebody as a life partner, okay, or we begin to decide that this is the guy, this is the lady, or this is the girl which I should marry no matter what. Okay, most of the time throughout the process, at the beginning or towards in the initial days, we are blind. We don't judge people. Okay, we don't look at any person objectively and dispassionately. You understand the words objectively and dispassionately?
Yes, sir.
We don't judge a person neutrally. Okay, we are somehow biased because we like that person, right? So when Hagar simply went for Brahm, she was not sure. She was not very kind of judgmental, or she was not very kind of objective or dispassionate about her kind of selection. She just went with the flow. But later she realized that Brahm is a kind of carbon copy of my father, right? I usually initially thought that Brahm is different, but after some years or some time, now I think, or now I believe, that Brahm is the exact carbon copy of my father. He is kind of replica. He is kind of he has the same qualities like my father. So that is why she detested kind of the company of Brahm. Are you
Got it,
getting
sir.
my point?
Yes, sir. I am getting your point.
You go back to your college days, you go back to your lives, you will understand what I'm saying.
At that time, I think Hagar was blindly in love with Brahm. That's why she thought that he
And
was different
Brahm
from.
was not of their stature, right? And her
Yes,
father
yes,
complained about that, and that is how Hagar lost all the inheritance, right? And she
yes,
didn't get a penny from her father. Her father donated everything to the public of Manawaka, the town of Manawaka, right?
yes, yes, sir.
And that is how this relationship evolved. Should I continue with the significance of the title?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. In the novel, the stone angel, the stone angel is a symbol, an object which has a special role. What is that? It symbolizes Jason Curie's pride when he sets it up, nominally as a monument to his dead wife, but really to proclaim his dynasty as he fancied. It is the dynasty which, in a bitterly ironic twist of fate, expires with him. But the statue also symbolizes Hagar's blind refusal to recognize her own nature and the consequences of her pride. She was doubly blind, not only stone, but unendowed with even a pretense of sight. Whoever carved her had left the eyeballs blank. I mean, this is Hagar's reaction to the statue. Finally, the statue symbolizes the way in which Hagar shares the obstinate, arrogant disposition of Jason Curie and even his attitude towards life. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Just give me a second. I'll come back to. Okay, no problem. Okay. Did I tell you about other works of Margaret Lawrence at the beginning?
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay.
Sir, you gave us the name of Manavaka series just now,
Okay.
just some minutes before.
Okay. The other, kind of works which were of some repute of Margaret Lawrence were the Side Jordan, the Prophet's Camel Bell, published in 1960 and 1963. The Tomorrow Tamer, 1963. The Stone Angel, we are discussing that, 64. A Jest of God, The Fire Dwellers, The Diviners. All of them are, these four of them are from that Manavaka series. The Stone Angel, A Jest of God, The Fire Dwellers, The Diviners. Which is the other one I told you?
The Prophet's Camel Bell, sir.
No, no, no. It's Stone Angel, A Jest of God, The Fire Dwellers, A Bird in the House. Another one. I mean, the Stone Angel, Jest of God, Fire Dwellers, The Diviners, and A Bird in the House. These five novels are Manavaka series.
Sir, the bird in the house, it is this the concluding part of this Manavaka series?
No, The Diviners is the concluding series, concluding novel. Okay.
Okay, sir.
We have already discussed this. Okay, this one. Do you have
Sir,
any idea what is oxymoron?
oxymoron is like two opposite meanings are kept together.
Can you give me one example? If I say, uh, glorious gamble, does it qualify to be an oxymoron?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, a gamble can never be glorious, right? If somebody is glory related or kind of glorious, then it cannot be a gamble, right? But we say glorious gamble. Okay, two totally different meaning, totally different words having different meanings and opposite to each other, they are combined and producing another word which is oxymoron. Okay, and the Stone Angel is also oxymoronic to certain critics, like how can an angel can be a stone and how can be a stone can be an angel. Okay, and it is erected in the memory of the protagonist mother, is it? It symbolizes the blindness of pride, represents the family's respectability, symbolizes helplessness, it represents past, it indicates death in life, and it belongs to a tradition of sculpture stretching back from the counter Reformation to Roman and Hellenic times. It rises above the pettiness as well as the heroism of the human lives. It is up to you how you want to connect with many other things. Like many critics have written many things about the Stone Angel. Okay, intertwined with her destined of destinies of Hagar and her father and son. Okay, another quote. Uh, if Hagar in the Stone Angel has any meaning, it is the same as that of an old woman anywhere, having to deal with the reality of dying. On the other hand, she is not an old woman anywhere. She is very much a person who belongs in the same kind of prairie Scots background as I do. And it was, of course, people like Hagar who created that background with all its flaws and its strength. It's just about Hagar Siple. Should I give you a character appreciation of Hagar Siple to you?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, okay, just a sec.
Sir, before you go on to Hagar Shipley, can you just go on to Margaret Clausen's about the author? I think so. There was one pen name. So I just need to note down that.
Okay, Steve Lancaster. Okay,
Okay, sir. Because it's very important, the pseudonames sometimes the authors have. Sometimes it's very important. Thank you so
yes,
much.
actually, while I was preparing for this class, this a part of the slides were already ready last year. Okay, but I thought I wanted to revise that. So in the process of revising that, the slides went, kind number of slides went, bigger. I mean, then I thought, okay, I should include all the information which I have and let the kind of um, the audience decide that which information they want to filter out and which one they want to keep it for themselves for reference.
Yes,
Fine.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Done.
Okay. Okay. This has been also adapted to a movie in 2007. Okay. If you can, you can go to YouTube or other you know mm,
So can you please play the slides a little bit slow? Like if we
yes, of
want to.
course. I'm just like Hagar Sipli's narrative. I'm just shifting from one slide to another. Whatever is connected to what I'm saying, I'm just going to that slide only. Okay. So in the process, I'll go through all the slides. Fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay. This is just a quote. You don't have to worry about this. Okay. And I'll as always, I'll also send you some complementary materials which will help you. Okay. Then there are certain references to Hagar in kind of in the stone angel and other texts as well. Hagar is quite important in Islam as the mother of Ismail and all Arab peoples from which descend Muhammad. In the Quran, part of the story of the Hagar and Ismail takes place in Mecca. So you can give this allusion in your answers. Okay. Hagar, also spelled as Agar in the Old Testament, that is Bible. Okay. Abraham's concubine and the mother of his son Ismail, purchased in Egypt. She served as a maid to Abraham's childless wife Sarah, who gave her to Abraham to conceive an heir. When Hagar became pregnant, her meek manner changed to arrogance. With Abraham's reluctant permission, Sarah treated her so harshly that she fled into the wilderness. There, by a spring of water, she was found by an angel of the Lord, who told her to return home and promised her that she would have many descendants through a son Ismail. And the source is one is New World Encyclopedia and another one is Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, if you want to read more about these references, I mean, if you have already discussed Wasteland in MEG-1, you will understand why these allusions and references are important as far as the characters and the story as well as the title is concerned. Are you
So
able to connect what I'm trying to tell you?
yes, sir, I have a question regarding this.
Yes, 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 yes,
So this name Hager. So the
yes.
references that we are talking here, we are talking in this slide, it is regarding the name Hager that the author has chosen to symbolize a character, right? Why she
Okay.
has chosen this name? Is it
Okay.
so?
Yes, yes, I believe so. Okay, and again, this is not my personal opinion. It is many critics who have assumed or presumed a lot of connections. Okay, and it is up to us how we do interpret these references. Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. Let's revisit the plot again. I have already told you the story, and there are past and present and all these kind of shifting narratives. Okay. In past, the brother dies, defies father, and marries Brahm. You know, it's about Hagar and her story in different format, right? It depends on you how you want to remember the things which I told you, right? Whether you can
Sir,
create a
one
mind
small.
map. Yes.
So, do you remember in Candyman, you gave a character sketch map of all the characters connected to Lenny?
Okay.
Can you provide us with such thing related to Hagar so that we can be familiar how many characters are there in this Stone Angel?
Okay. I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The I haven't prepared the character map that way. Okay, and but I'll tell you a clearer picture. It will help you. Okay, mind you, in this particular novel, the main character is Hagar Sipli, right? And it is all about herself. Nobody else. All others are minor characters, and Hagar Sipli is the major one. Okay,
She is
and
the dominating protagonist of this novel, right?
yes, 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 and Hagar Sipli, Jason Curie, Matt and Daniel, Auntie Doll Stonehouse, Bramford Sipley, John Sipley, Marvin, Doris, Arlene, Murray, Tina, Stephen Sipley, Jess Sipley, Mr. Troy, Sandra. Everybody is, all of them are minor minus Hagar Sipley, because Hagar Sipley is the boss and she is the central character, and she is telling her story to us, and through her narrative we begin to know who is who of this novel and how others are connected to Hagar Sipley, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Hagar Sipley, who is Bram,
Husband of
Hagar,
Hagar.
and who is
husband,
John,
son of Hagar.
and who is Jason?
Hagar's father.
Yes. And who is Marvin?
Son.
Hagar's
Elder
eldest son.
son.
Another son.
Okay. And who is Doris?
Daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law. Marvin's wife.
Okay. And Dan and Matt?
Hagar's brother.
Brothers.
Yes, yes, yes.
So Hagar had two brothers, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about Hagar Sipley in detail, because that is pretty important in terms of this novel and the context. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mark my words. What I'm about to say is very important in terms of Hagar Sipley, because she is the one character which you will possibly get a question, if I'm not wrong. If you go by the, we'll discuss the past questions if time permits, but let's talk about Hagar Sipley. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Margaret Lawrence herself has written about this Hagar, that I wrote about Hagar as one individual old woman who certainly came out of my own background. So, what it means? That means it is an autobiographical character, right? But I was astonished when a number of other Canadians wrote to me or said to me that this was their grandmother, and I didn't know that it was going to turn out to be everybody's grandmother, unquote. So in one of her other writings, Margaret Lawrence has written herself that Hagar is one individual or individual old woman who certainly came out of my own background, that means my own design. Fine. But later I got to know that many other Canadians writing to me and saying that, this character resembles my grandmother. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Readers identified Hagar Sipley as the type of the arrogant old woman fighting against age and death. So readers identified Hagar Sipley as a typical old woman in her late 90s or late 80s. According to this description in the novel, she is a 90-year-old, right?
Yes, sir.
So she is arrogant, she is fighting against age and death. Hagar Sipley is sustained by her pride, and she is made monstrous by her pride. I mean, her pride is the only thing which keeps her alive, and she is also portrayed in a negative light. Or we begin to understand that she is, somebody who is consumed by her pride. Okay, so pride is a negative aspect of a character as well as the positive or strong aspect of a character. She is 90 years old when her voice is heard for the first time. And she bitterly describes herself as grossly fat, ugly, and clumsy. She doesn't like her. Her body has grown as grotesque as her unforgiving spirit. She is by turns agonizingly bitter and sarcastic or weak. Her son Marvin and daughter-in-law Doris themselves in their 60s, and they have to bear with the lady hour by hour and look at their plights. They have to bear her stubborn temper, her massive, unmanageable body. She is humiliated hourly and daily by, and yet she is impeccably unyielding to them in their honest efforts. She is unhappy about her age, her weaknesses, and for the failures in her life. Yet, in the unbending pride of her spirit, there lies an enormous strength. She journeys through her memory to in front of all of us. And she faces its failures and admit her betrayals. And she makes one last desperate bid for escape from the chains of illness and age. So tell me in this context, who she might be referring to the betrayal in her life?
Husband Brampton.
Yes, Bram Sipley. Because she thought Bram is somebody else, but Bram turned out to be exactly a replica of her father, or exactly a copy of her father, or the characteristics. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
She
sir.
comes to her final hospital bed, but she also comes to her moment of truth and liberation, because she apologizes to everybody in the hospital bed, and she begins to realize that it's okay if I open up myself to the nurse, to the doctor, to the relatives, to the family. The recognition of the force that worked her life and her love for others. I quote in page number 292, Margaret Lawrence writes, "Pride was my wilderness, and the demon that led me there was fear. I was alone and never anything else, and never free." Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hagar's pride is a factor of her background, both ancestral and historical. You might say, why she is having a lot of pride? For one, I can say she was rich because the father had a lot of money. Okay, so it is about ancestral. Her father, Jason Curie, was a relentlessly proud man. So papa, daughter is supposed to be somehow proud lady. The little western Canadian town Manawaka was built by Jason Curie and the other Scottish immigrants like him, and was made secure by the pride of its builders. But Manawaka was also potentially a prison for its people, who were ruthlessly restricted by its propriety. One important aspect, mark my words, readers are never allowed to look directly into the minds of Jason Curie or Bram Sipley in The Stone Angel. They are only seen through Hagar's eyes, heard through her ears. Readers know about them what Hagar chooses to let them know. She often describes their appearances and sheds more light or some light on their spatial ways of speaking. Hagar doesn't turn either her father or her husband into mere puppets in her memory or in her imagination. So, what I mean to say by that is that we do not know for sure how Bram was or what Jason Curie was, but whatever Hagar simply lets us believe, tells us, we can only know that much, nothing more, nothing less. Yet she always shows them as her foils, the others by whom, in her great egotism, she defines herself. She never has an unreservedly good word to say about any of them. I mean, she doesn't have anything to say good about them. In her vision of life, everybody else is a minor figure. Consequently, the novel has no real dialogue. The characters never truly converse with each other. They exchange statements that are embedded in the great sprawling continuum of Hagar's memory, and their encounters are stylized in recollection. Everything readers know about them is secondary, filtered through the principal character's thoughts. Are you getting my point? That whatever Hagar is recollecting in her memory, we are only allowed to see that much. We have not
Yes,
been
sir.
privileged to see or observe, Bram Sipley or Jason Curie. But Hagar Sipley is recollecting her life in flashbacks. Okay. And that's what is presented to us. So we cannot go into the details of their characters because Hagar Sipley is sitting there and letting us know that this much you are allowed to know. You are not allowed to or authorized to go beyond that. Hagar's prejudices and her resentments stand out for all those to see, and readers are on guard all the time for the bias that sooner or later emerges in all her statements. Her fear and suspicion of the world color her relationship with everyone. Whatever she says is based on her memory, and people like Hagar remember the distant past with great vividness. But are the memories of old people, however vivid, the real past? In all works of fiction that are based on remembering the past, the readers must regard memory itself as the first creator of fiction. Okay, in this context, I should tell you one thing that, have you ever heard this critic's name, Roy Pascal? Anyone? Anyone? Roy Pascal?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Roy Pascal is a very famous critic of autobiographical works. I mean, life writing. He has a very, kind of epoch-making book called "The Design and Truth in Autobiography." In that, he says that memory is not only unreliable; it is also treacherous sometimes. Okay, that is what this Margaret Lawrence is letting us know, that we are seeing everything through the eyes of or through the memories of Hagar Sipley, right? But do we know that what she is telling us is the truth or not? We don't know, do we?
No, sir. We don't know.
So she is also questioning, I mean, critics also question that a 90-year-old lady, who is recollecting her life and letting us know what exactly happened in her life story, whatever may be the clarity or the vividness he has described to us, but is it okay to rely on that? Can it not be fiction to certain extent?
So when we recollect any memory, at some point of time, it can't be 100% real. So it can be recollect, matlab, fictional, right?
Okay, it can have some element of fiction, right?
Yes, sir.
But whatever that past may really have been, it has made Hagar into what she is. The woman whose voice is brilliantly introduced in the first pages of the novel. It is this voice that sings throughout the novel till she goes through her last rite. As Hagar is laid to rest, Mr. Troy, the minister, sings. I mean, in within quotes, I begin. All people that on earth do dwell, And readers realize that throughout her life, Hagar has not recognized the need for joy. It can only be hoped that in the last moment of her life, her mind had been enlightened and her heart opened up. In the last scene, she apologizes to everybody, tries to make amends, try to, kind of talk to other people, and including the, kind of companions in that hospital ward, including other family members. Okay.
Yes,
Should I
sir.
continue? So this
Yes.
much about
Yes, sir.
Hagar Sibli. She is the central character, and essentially, in short, I can tell you this: that Hagar Sibli is the narrator, and whatever we know about Hagar Sibli or other characters, it is through Hagar, right? So she is the filter.
Sir, you're not audible.
And lets us believe. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Prior to that, your voice
Yes,
was
sir.
breaking, sir.
Okay, okay. Maybe because of this internet speed, I don't know. Okay, I mean this 4G, 5G, it's all a scam, I believe. Okay, even this Geo fiber, some. I mean, I shouldn't say this on a recorded kind
Sir,
of
even
lecture.
I feel life was good when we had 2G.
I mean, I'm not sure, but I mean, you know, we don't know. I mean, when it was 2G, we believed when 3G was introduced. I mean, it's so fast. The downloading speed was like hyped so much, and we were like pretty happy. And when the 4G revolution came, again we became happier. Oh, we have 4G and everything will be hunky dory right now. Okay. Then the 5G revolution came, and now 5G in a trial phase all over India, right? Not every service provider is providing 5G. Only Airtel and Jio are kind of providing the service on a trial basis right now. Are you getting my point? So again, the fiber penetration is pretty low in rural areas like or semi-urban areas like NSEs and something like that. So we don't know. So I'm sorry for the disturbances because of this internet speed. I hope you can. I mean, I'm audible to you right now, right?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about other aspects of the text, other aspects of the novel, and I mean, possibly you might have a question like, what is the literary significance of this particular, novel, The Stone Angel? Okay, because in Canadian literature, apart from Margaret Lawrence, Margaret Atwood is pretty famous in terms of literary body of work, and Alice Munro, she has already been recognized worldwide through her works. So, what is the literary significance of this particular novel? Should I give you a brief statement about that?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. The Stone Angel is an important body of work because it came at a crucial stage in the development of Canadian fiction, which was moving forward from its formative years when the Stone Angel came in 1964. It was moving away from the style of writers like Frederick Philip Groove, who sought to see prairie life in terms of an outdated European naturalism, and from the didactic earnestness of writers like Hugh MacLennan, who in the novels like Two Solitudes had given lessons in the rise of Canadian national consciousness. These are high sounding words, but you have to understand them in the context. Like, you have to understand what is naturalism to understand this sentence, and you have to understand this what is national consciousness. Okay, so what is naturalism? Any idea, ladies and gentlemen? Do you remember any words like any kind of mm, authors like? those who are related to naturalism? No? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So naturalism, do you remember Emily Zola? Naturalism is a literary movement beginning in the late 19th century, similar to literary realism and its rejection of romanticism, but it is distinct in its embrace of detachment or scientific objectivism and social commentary. And naturalism emphasizes observations and the scientific method in the fictional portrayal of reality. So naturalism includes detachment, in which the author maintains an impersonal tone and disinterested point of view. Okay, so this Frederick Philip, Philip Groove and this, Hugh MacLennan, in their novels, you know, they gave rise a Canadian national consciousness. But the Stone Angel, published in 1964, is a study of the enclosed garrison culture of North American settlements and the religion that supported and often distorted the spirit of the people. W.H. New, another critic, remarked that Margaret Lawrence explored the essential differences between middle class expectations and other values, articulated a female perspective. Mind you, in 1964, you have a female protagonist, and she is the central character in the novel. Was a challenging thing to do for Margaret Lawrence, and offered evidence to many young writers to affirm that simple fact that being alive was a political act. Lawrence came at a time when MacLennan's didacticism had served its purpose and myths were need to sustain the Canadian imagination. In creating her fictional town of Manawaka, Margaret Lawrence offered a powerful myth of Canada in the imagination of artists and responsive readers. Her role as a woman novelist at that time was also very important. She built on the pioneering achievements of earlier writers like Sarah Janet Duncan, Ethel Wilson, to shift the literary point of view from a dominatingly male one to the activity and significance of women in Canada. So, this point you can highlight in your papers if you encounter such questions, the literary importance of the novel like Stone Angel. Finally, there are changes in attitude to form that began to appear in Canadian fiction during the 1960s. Margaret Lawrence, as a creative writer, was ahead of the fashionable critical trend of the 1960s, which tended to based on identification of themes. Her novel harps on an idea, the idea of survival, survival of Hagar Shipley. Thus, for many reasons, The Stone Angel stands as an influential book in the development of Canadian literature during 1960s and the subsequent decades. The Stone Angel had survived because Hagar Shipley is a universal personification of the urge to survive. Both Hagar and Manawaka, though fictional, have survived in the memories of the readers as symbols of the Canadian spirit of survival. Are you getting my point? So, in short, if I could, kind of summarize this paragraph, that you know, in 1960s, to have a female character and the only central character in the novel, and in a male-dominated literary landscape, if you have a woman character and that novel is published and it did well in those times, and even today we are kind of made to study this novel because it has some literary kind of importance in Canadian literature as well as in new literatures in English. So that is how Margaret Lawrence's contribution can be summed up in two or three sentences, like women character, central women character, challenging the male domination in the literary landscape of Canada in 1960s, and moving away from the tradition of other established writers of that time. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. You are saying that at that time, 1964, that is a very, on that time, male dominated society was there, and at that time,
Not
that
only the
the,
society, even the
yes, sir.
literary landscape was dominated by the male writers, and
Yes,
it was a challenge to come up with a novel where the central character is a lady, is a woman, and that too 90
yes,
years
sir.
old woman.
Yes,
And
sir.
after this novel came out, everybody started to uh, identified with that old woman, like she is like my grandmother. Okay, they can connect with this character, that Hagar
Yes,
Siple,
sir.
she could be anybody, she could be like our grandmother, she could be like your grandmother, something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you also have to mention as well, the Stone Angel is one of the selected books in the 2002 edition of Canada Reads is a famous kind of a literary recognition, if feature, like in, so for example, we have MLA International Bibliography for journals and periodicals. Okay, if you get a mention in that, then your journal is a good one. If you are indexed in Scopus, your journal is a respectable one. If you are indexed in this Clarivate Analytics, then your journal is a very good journal. You understand the difference between journal and a magazine? I hope you know that.
What is the other term you are using apart from journal?
Magazine. Okay,
Yes, sir.
magazine where you have feature articles or feature writings, right? But journal is all about research, and it's all about a typical, you have a special format, and you have to follow that format. Okay, and you have to give citations, you have to give evidences, and it has to be original. Okay, and the length of a journal article can range from 5 pages to 40 pages or 50 pages, right? But an article or a featured article in a magazine should be 2 3 pages or 5 pages, something like that. I mean, there are many differences, but for kind of a general audience, I'm just telling you this is the basic difference. Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the novel has also been adapted into a movie called The Stone Angel in 2007. You should watch that if you get hold of that. And Ellen Burstyn as Hagar Sipley had won the Genie Award for Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in 2008.
So,
Okay,
what is the name of the movie in which this character of Stone Angel is loosely based on?
The Stone Angel. The movie, his name is also The Stone Angel. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I believe we had discussed a bit about stream of consciousness techniques during our last novel, The Solid Mandala. Do you
Yes,
remember
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
So, what is stream of consciousness technique?
Sir, it is a sir, stream of consciousness is a technique which shows the natural flow of thoughts, movements, whatever is present or whatever is going on in an author's mind without any
Yes, exactly.
restriction.
Exactly. So, in this particular text or novel, we are discussing Hagar Sipley's stream of consciousness, right? I mean, through Hagar Sipley, Margaret Lawrence has used this technique of stream of consciousness while presenting this narrative, and also this flashback narration. Okay, again, first person narration, elderly narrator against stereotyping. Okay, so these are the techniques being used in Margaret Lawrence's Stone Angel. Okay. Then what are the other techniques? Are my slides visible to you, all of you?
Yes, sir. It is
Okay.
visible.
Development of two aspects of a single story. One, Hagar's confrontation with the brutal facts of old age. Then, childhood, marriage, and children. One is mixing present and past. Another one is technique of interrupting the flow of past with present. The same happened with another novel I taught you. Which one that one?
Uh, Mandela.
Solid Mandala by Patrick
Solid
White,
Mandela.
past and present. Okay. So this is another technique. If you get a question on techniques of narration of this the Stone Angel by Margaret Lawrence, you have to mention these things. One, you have to mention this stream of consciousness. You have to write a paragraph on that. Then you have to write a bit about flashback narration. Then you have to write a bit about first person narration. Okay. Then you have to mention development of two aspects of a single story, that is mixing present and past, and technique of interrupting the flow of past with present. And you have to mention these two aspects. One is Hagar's confrontation with the brutal facts of old age when she is already 90 and she's thinking of typical things like kind of old ladies when they are at their twilight of their lives. Okay. And one when she is kind of thinking and remembering or recollecting the childhood, the marriage, and the children, another aspect of her life.
Excuse me, sir. Could you please go back to the previous slides of this, sir?
This one?
Aspect. Yes, this one, sir. This one.
Yes. Okay.
Sir, what is the third? The third one is written first person narration, elderly narrator against the stereotyping. Sir, I didn't get this one.
Okay. First person narration means when this Hagar simply is saying whatever she is saying. Okay. So
Yes,
that is
sir.
first person narration. Okay. I mean, she is, when I say I, okay, okay, you go by this traditional first person, second person, third person rule to English grammar, you will
In
go
grammar.
straight to
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And when Hagar simply is saying that, I'm saying everything, I'm doing everything, okay, I being me, okay, something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So through Hagar simply, we are also, we are getting to know other characters. So that's why first person narration.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I'm just kind of let me stop this presentation, then we'll go to other aspects of the past year questions. Okay.
Sir, just can you just go back with the slides where I missed certain places like themes and all, so that I can after that slide,
Okay. Okay. I mean,
after that themes.
okay, in different sources, different
Yes,
critics
sir.
view, we have many different variety of themes available, but primarily I have already told you there are you have time, you have pride, you have survival, you have freedom. Okay. Primarily these four dominating themes are there, but apart from that there are also other themes. Okay. Should I go over that one after another?
Yes, sir. You can just go over the slides. We can just note it down.
Okay, no problem.
Sir, actually, there's one request.
Yes.
Before you switch to the themes of this Stone Angel, you were presenting the storyline part.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to that storyline part, sir? Because that the way the story was presented, it was very informative and
Okay.
yes, sir. From here, yes, sir.
Should I continue?
Yes, sir, please continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there are many themes which can be, kind of ascribed to this particular novel, and like starting with memory and the past. Okay. And you have womanhood, you have choices and identity, you have family, love, resentment. Okay. When we talk of memory, of course Hagar Sipli is actually recollecting everything. In through her we are beginning to understand her character in a better way, and we are also uh, we are also getting to know other minor characters whom Hagar Sipli thinks is minor. I mean, are minor characters. We are also considering them as minor characters because the you know mm, undivided attention is being given to Hagar Sipli in the narrative as well as our study, right? So through Hagar, you look at womanhood. Through Hagar, also you look at memory and the past, and how we reminiscent about our past, and how we romanticize our past, how we think past is central to our present or is connected to our present. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Then regarding the choices and identity, how she was very stubborn and driven lady, and her choices related to marrying Bram, and her choices related to how she left her father's inheritance, and how she was stripped of the inheritance of her father because of her stubbornness or her choice. Okay. And how she tries to create her own identity. Okay. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Again, the concept of family, concept of love and resentment in terms of Hagar Sipli and other family connections. How she fought with her father, and how she later realizes that Bram Sipli is also somebody like her father. Okay. So she resented so many things about so many people in her life altogether. So there are many aspects to these themes. Okay. Then we have already discussed pride, the cause and the consequences, the intolerance of Hagar Sipli, the resistance of Hagar Sipli, then aging, then the concept of death. Okay. Then you have memories, we have already discussed that. Then fear of loss, exile and alienation. Okay. Then care and lack of concern, fate and victimization of individual. So there are several aspects to look into.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, exile and alienation, about that theme, could you please explain in short, sir?
Okay. When she left uh, the father's kind of inheritance, that was her choice about leaving that father's house, and living all alone. Okay. When she left
Yes, sir.
Bram Sipli. Okay. That was her
Yes, sir.
choice, and that was a kind of choice that I want to live alone. I don't like these men in my life. My father was somebody like Bram, and Bram was somebody like my father. They were authoritative, and they were like uh, they were not according to my kind of way of life. Okay. So that's how see, actually it was kind of self-made exile, that okay, I will live alone, I will go away from these people. Okay. Alienation means being separated from your people or your land. Okay. So this is about exile and alienation. And again, when at the age of 90, she is going into the jungle and going into the woods at night, at the middle of the night, and she doesn't enjoy this, the son and daughter-in-law's treatment. So that's why she wanted to live alone, and that was her attempt of alienation. Okay. So in that context, you can highlight exile and alienation. Fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, we can say that Hagar is something like in she always wanted to live alone in her own terms, and she was not very fond of others' concerns, right?
Yes, yes. I mean that is the simplest explanation you can think of Hagar. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Then identity we have discussed that. Then lack of communication, search for self understanding and redemption. Redemption happens at the towards the very last scene in the hospital bed. Okay, and family related conflicts with father, with brothers, with the husband, with our own son and daughter-in-law. Everybody she is fighting, right?
Yes, sir.
Then there are class difference between Hagar Sipli and Bram Sipli, and the father was dead against that marriage. Okay. Then independence and its limitations. If you want to be independent, you have to live with the consequences, and you will have to accept the changes it brings if you want to be independent in your life. Survival, we have already discussed that in some detail. Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
sir, you
Yes.
said that at the end you will go through the questions. I have one question I want to ask you.
Yes. Yes. Please.
Sir, in June, I think June 20, 2021, it is
Mhm.
written that examine the theme of self-alienation of the elderly in the Stone Angel. So,
Yes.
this question, how we will write it, the answers?
Okay. Okay. So you have to write everything about Hagar Sipli, okay, and theme of exile and alienation. You have to mention that her urge to be independent and to be alone, and how she doesn't enjoy this social or familial bond in which she is a part of, and how she resents everybody around her because of her own choices, and how she doesn't enjoy being here, so she wants to go somewhere else. Okay, how she is also kind of ready to leave Manawaka, okay, for some point in time, and how she believes that life should be I should live my life according to my terms, and I'm not enjoying these people around me, so I'll live alone. I will be is a self imposed exile, and I will go out of Manawaka and I will stay somewhere else. Okay, so in that context, you have to mention a bit about the choices and the concept of identity of Agar Sipli, and you will also have to look at her relationship with our family members, and the kind of not so cordial relationships she enjoyed with other family members. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
so in a mixture you can do that. I mean, in an online class I can't kind of tell you
I
the
can
exact,
understand.
but just give you a sense of your approach to the kind of answers. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, you mean to say that we have to write down that how Hagar herself actually exiled from her family as well as from her husband.
How it is connected to her concept of identity and independence. Okay, and
Yes,
how it is driven by her stubbornness.
yes, sir. Yes, got it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
So ladies and gentlemen, am I visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, there is always a kind of disconnect between the planning and execution, because for a 2 hour online class, you can only pack so much, this much in terms of discussion. So I think I'm afraid I have to call it a day, and because today is technically a holiday, but it's holy per se, but I mean it's a holiday, and the timetable or the kind of schedule was prepared way ahead of this day, so we can't change it, we couldn't change it. I had a chat with the RC Bhubaneswar, and they said, okay, sir, it was 27th earlier, but it has been changed to 26th. You have any issues? I said, no, I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead with the flow and let's complete this MEG-8. And I wish all of you best of luck for your exams. And I'm always available on call, as well as in WhatsApp. And you can text me, you can call me, you can ask any number of questions, and depending on my schedule and depending on my availability, I'll definitely answer you. I'll try to help you out with all your queries and questions. I thank all
Thank you
of
so
you
much.
for
Means
your attendance and for your
means
patience
a
in
lot,
me.
sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I
Though
mean,
I mean, I think
I don't
everything might
know
have
how
gone
far
from
I
our
was able.
heads. No, sir. It was like
I
for a
mean,
day, it
I
was
mean, I don't know whether.
too much. It was great.
I
This
mean,
thing, sir. Lots and lots of information.
yes. I don't know whether I did, I mean, justice to my role as a facilitator or trainer or counselor, whatever you call me, as far as MEG-8 is concerned, but it was also a learning experience for me. So I also learned a lot about these novels and these texts. And I believe next time around, I'll be a better teacher, what I have been in last 15 days or so.
Sir,
Uh,
I have a question. Are you going to take any other subject classes, sir? We would love to.
uh, I'm not sure. It depends on the RC and the RC authorities. I guess. I mean, I don't know whether I should tell you this on recorded class or not. But the RC people always take feedback from the students, and depending on the feedbacks and the availability and kind of maintaining the kind of balance between all the counselors, they assign classes to the counselors. So I don't know how they will assign future classes, but I have been assigned many classes in past, and I am not sure about the future, but it depends on them. But in any case, whatever assignment will come in my way, I will definitely try to go ahead with that. So once again, I should thank all of you, Supriya, Salman,
Yes, sir.
Sridevi, Bhagyasri, Chavi, Pooja, and everyone. And I think we should stop the recording and we should stop the
Deepest
class right now.
regards, sir. Lots and lots of regards, sir. As you said already, you were assured that you're available. So it's not only MEG-8. By any chance, anything related to MEG-5 or MEG-12, though it's not your subjects, but can we just ask contextually any doubt, please?
Uh, okay, I'll try to find out. Look, on WhatsApp you can always send your queries, and on call you can also call me and let me know by any means if at all I'll be able to help you. I'll try my best to do that. Okay. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think my little daughter is here. She is disturbing me. I should stop the presentation and the class right now. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing class.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.